Honorable guests, ladies and gentlemen, governors, mayors, leaders, friends, colleagues, and people from cities around the world, welcome to the ICLEI World Congress with the title and the theme of Shaping Our Sustainable Urban Future for All. We are extremely proud as an ICLEI community to continue with this World Congress in an unprecedented time and in an unprecedented way. We have indeed the luxury that the World Congress is starting in 2021, but through a series of events, it will take us all the way through to 2022. I'm here today. My name is Kobe Brandt. I'm as Deputy Secretary General, and it is a huge honor for me to have been given the task to open this really first session of the ICLEI World Congress. And it is with great pleasure that I'm going to introduce a fantastic lineup of speakers to you in this session. More than ever today, our cities, towns, and region are facing unprecedented global change, and we are at the front line of it. So our local and subnational governments have to take hands and take action like never before to address these rapidly changing events and realities all around us in nearly every dimension of urban life. Development challenges, including the global health pandemic, COVID-19 that is with us at the moment, and the increasing impacts of climate change, biodiversity loss, land degradation, the lack of resilience of urban communities and systems, and the need to end systemic inequalities and to better apply technological advancements are just some of the actions that require urgent attention from our subnational governments. The only way forward for us as a community, as always, is to urgently and collectively and strongly reverse this trend. We now have a unique opportunity to redesign our shared urban future and our relationship with the planet, build back better, to ambitiously and with newly shared resolve, co-create a new journey for all to develop resilient, inclusive communities and rights-based transitions to discontinue the unsustainable approaches that have become so obvious through the global 19 pandemic in the last year and a little bit more, and the initial recovery attempts. In the decade now upon us, we may well have the last and also very best opportunity granted to humanity to create a new, accessible, and just urban world that is inclusive, sustainable, and resilient for all. To guide us in achieving these goals collectively, the ICLEI Network, all of us collectively, have worked together to update the strategy for 2021 to 2027, our guiding strategy, which includes 5 pathways for sustainable development. Leaders from the ICLEI organization will today present this strategy, along with presentations from newly elected ICLEI members and leaders who will help guide this strategy and the implementation thereof in the years ahead. We'll also hear very concrete examples from local and regional governments from around the world who are already advancing this work. So I want to really today pay tribute and say congratulations to the wonderful new leadership of ICLEI, and at the same time also take a moment to pay tribute to our 400 plus dedicated co-colleagues who work with us in the ICLEI secretariats around the world, working with our cities, working with our regions, making a difference on the ground. We know it's often very hard work, very long hours, and your dedication is what inspires me and most of us who are speaking here today. Thank you very much. I would like to now hand the floor to a wonderful, innovative city that is a beacon of hope and light for many of us, and represented here by, in fact, the very mayor herself. This city is also going to be the host, is indeed from today onwards the host of our ICLEI World Congress. It's the city of Malmo, and it's Madame Catherine Jamais, the mayor of the city of Malmo. Very, very proud co-host of the ICLEI World Congress, host city. To you, we say thank you for taking hands with ICLEI and for hosting our World Congress in 2021 through to 2022. Over to you, Mayor Jamais.
Malmo is a city in constant movement. A post-industrial city reinvented as a dynamic knowledge centre, built on cultural diversity, youth and sustainable development. With courage, creativity and curiosity, we test the solutions of tomorrow. That's how we turn sustainability into reality and inspire others to follow. Welcome to Malmo, proud host of the ICLEI World Congress 2021-2022.
Welcome everyone to the ICLEI World Congress 2021 and 2022. Most things have been quite different for all of us these past years, with the corona pandemic that has swept the globe and our everyday lives have dramatically changed. And so this ICLEI World Congress has been split into two parts for the first time ever. Part one starts here today, and part two, a physical meeting with workshops and study visits in Malmo, will take place next year in May. Ahead of us, we have 3 days packed with an interesting program with topics covering all of the 5 ICLEI pathways, including circular, resilient, nature-based, low emission, and equitable and people-centered development. Over the next few days, we, as cities and regions that are committed to creating sustainable societies for all, will have an opportunity to learn, to connect and exchange experiences. Because even though we are currently unable to travel and experience things live at the Congress, it does not mean that the need for it has gone. The reason why Malmo is so honored to be the host of this crucial Congress is that we know that cities and regions are often at the very forefront when it comes to tackling global issues on a local level. For me, it became so obvious when I attended the big meeting with thousands of mayors and governors in Paris, just a few days before our national leaders decided to sign the Paris Agreement. The feeling was so strong. We were determined to show the way. And since then, lots have happened, like everywhere, but still not enough. So therefore, it's so vital that we have these opportunities to come together, to share our best practices, as well as our mistakes. And I'm proud to say that the city of Malmo is a strong local player in the global arena, a vibrant city with a young, diverse population that indeed values social and environmental consciousness. We are a modern, green coastal city that actively works with sustainable urban planning. We have high ambitions and will not settle for anything less. And this is why we are accelerating our work to create a green, healthy, and equitable city with good living conditions for all our residents. In order to increase the pace of innovation, we need to work together, locally as well as globally. So, welcome once again to this virtual and first part of the World Congress. And I really hope to see many of you, well, all of you, in place in Malmo next spring. Welcome.
Thank you very much, Mayor Jamais, and inspiring words indeed from an inspiring city, an inspiring female leader who is taking the world on, taking every single challenge on in a very systemic and a very holistic way with dedication. And I, for one, cannot wait to join you in Malmo in 2022. And it's a wonderful opportunity that we are going to have a World Congress, which is taking us on a journey right through from today till when we meet in your springtime in your lovely city. Thank you very much for your leadership and for being a host to the ICLEI World Congress. We are now turning to our president, our new incoming president, Frank County, who is going to deliver his inaugural speech, and that is going to show us where he believes ICLEI is going in the next, well, in his term in the next 5 years. Thank you very much to Frank County, the mayor of the city of Des Moines, USA, and ICLEI Global Executive Committee member. President Frank County, the floor is yours. Thank you.
Your Excellencies, honorable members of the ICLEI Council and the Global Executive Committee, honorable mayors, governors, and ICLEI members, Secretary General Gino van Begen, Deputy Secretary Generals Kobe Brand and Imani Kumar, esteemed guests and participants. I would like to extend a warm welcome to the ICLEI World Congress 2021-22, hosted by the city of Malmo in Sweden, and thank you very much, Mayor Jameh, for your kind words. Thank you, fellow members of the Global ICLEI Network, for extending your trust and confidence in me to represent ICLEI as your president in the term of 2021 to 2024. I humbly accept this responsibility and fully commit myself to the goals of our network. I look forward to leading ICLEI as the new president, and I am excited to work alongside the outstanding leaders united in the ICLEI Global Executive Committee, in the regional executive committees, and in the ICLEI Presidium. First Vice President and Mayor of Malmo in Sweden, Ms. Jameh. Vice President, Mayor of Turku in Finland, Ms. Arve. And Vice President, Ms. Atishi, member of the Legislative Assembly of New Delhi in India, standing shoulder to shoulder, we will form a strong, dedicated, and balanced ICLEI Presidium that represents the diversity and strength of our network. Thank you for taking this promising road with me. On behalf of the incoming Global Executive Committee, allow me also to take this opportunity to pay our highest respect to my predecessor in this office, the former mayor of Bonn, Mr. Ashok Sirdaran. We worked closely with Ashok, and I am deeply honored to succeed him as ICLEI president. We thank you, Ashok, for your leadership and your dedication, and for the milestones you achieved for our organization during your 5 years of service, both as ICLEI Vice President and President. Ladies and gentlemen, today we live in very challenging times. The ongoing COVID-19 pandemic, unfortunately, clearly demonstrates that our urban world has severe weaknesses in resilience and sustainability. We are in a process of tremendous urbanization that will go far beyond anything we have seen. Within 30 years from now, Africa's population will grow by 1 billion people. Asia's population by 1.2 billion. We are currently warming at 0.2 degrees Celsius per decade, and we know that 75% of the global greenhouse gases stem from our cities. Our transportation emissions and the energy used in the built environment are the biggest contributing sources. At the same time, to accompany this rapid urbanization, we will need to build 80% of the world's urban infrastructure. If carbon-heavy metals are used, it shall lead to huge carbon emissions, which in turn triggers further global challenges. If we reach a global warming of 1.5 degrees Celsius by the late 2030s, the IPCC expects that 500 million people will be water stressed. At 2 degrees Celsius, 600 million people will be affected. Additionally, deadly heat waves will likely impact 350 million people, even with only 1.5 degrees change in global warming. We need to find solutions very quickly and lay the foundation today for a carbon-neutral, resilient, safe, and livable tomorrow. As urban leaders, we are on the front lines. It is rewarding to see that such a large number of ICLEI members adopt ambitious, energy-efficient, and renewable energy targets, climate neutrality targets, or are divesting from fossil sectors, investing in an energy system that is fit for the 21st century and will push local jobs in the renewable sector to 42 million by 2050. Transformation to a renewable future is a just transition that makes sense for our economies and residents. Equally encouraging is the fact that so many ICLEI members engage with ICLEI to center biodiversity in their urban plans. Protecting and enhancing urban biodiversity not only serves nature, but also provides nature-based solutions such as green space, parks, or green roofs, which all reduce air pollution and heat islands. Similarly, the fact that the entire world is spending billions of dollars to mitigate and recover from the COVID-19 crisis shows us that we need to adopt a broader understanding of resilience in our jurisdictions and consequently integrate preventive risk measures in our urban planning and municipal operations. We must be ready not only for the dire impacts of climate change, but for any external events that impact our communities. Otherwise, as cities and regions, we will increasingly lose our capacity to take action. We urgently have to work on decoupling our urban development from finite sources and instead build our urban systems and local economy on resources that are reusable, recyclable, or replenishable. Only in this way can we minimize and prevent destructive ecological impacts and promote equitable distribution of resources. And finally, we as elected leaders must put at the center of our sustainability efforts our people, their rights, their needs, their health, their well-being, and their equitable, just, and fair treatment under all conditions and under all circumstances. Ladies and gentlemen, we are gathered here virtually in Malmo to more than ever drive sustainable urban development. As the ICLEI President, together with my colleagues in the ICLEI Presidium and the members of the Global and Regional Executive Committees, I am eager to drive forward our newly adopted ICLEI Malmo Commitment and Strategic Vision 2021 to 2024. This strategic vision is an ICLEI compass that will help you to manage our rapidly changing urban and global environment and tackle the challenges which I just mentioned. The strategic vision is inspired by the needs and experiences of our members at local and regional levels, and it unites us in the delivery on global sustainability goals through 5 critical and strategic pathways, which are closely linked: achieving low emissions, resilient, nature-based, circular, and equitable people-centered development. Together with my colleagues, I will act as a steward of this strategic vision, both towards our members as well as towards our partners, other levels of government, and the international community. Furthermore, since we operate in the UN Decade of Action, I will ensure that ICLEI continues to play a crucial role in the implementation of international sustainability frameworks, such as the Sustainable Development Goals, the Paris Agreement, and the new Global Biodiversity Agreement that is under negotiation this year. ICLEI has a unique lead role in these global discussions as the UN focal point for local governments and municipal authorities, LGMA. I will ensure that the offerings of the multi-level and multi-stakeholder consultations are observed and scaled up, as well as ensure that the voice and role of local and regional governments is well acknowledged. To this end, I will work with other networks such as UCLG and C40. Finally, I am proud and honored to lead this network of 2,500 highly diverse local and regional governments. I am also optimistic that our network can grow further in the coming years. During my presidency, I will foster thoughtful and deliberate exchanges with the North American region, which I represent, as well as with the 8 other ICLEI regions. This will help us to establish new platforms, create new opportunities, and reach out to non-member jurisdictions in order to further strengthen our network. I would like to thank Secretary General Gino van Begen, Deputy Secretary Generals Kobe Brand, and Umani Kumar, and the entire team for their tremendous work and the continual support they deliver to us ICLEI members and to me and the Global Executive Committee. And now, fellow mayors, ladies and gentlemen, I wish us all an inspiring and productive time at the ICLEI World Congress 2021-22, with new virtual encounters, discussions, and concrete steps for action and cooperation, with new ICLEI initiatives and programs, and with you, the leadership of the local level, a tremendous movement which I am proud to be part of. Thank you.
Thank you to our president, our incoming president, Frank Carney. And what a wonderful, inspirational message to all of us as staff of the ICLEI community. We will try our very best with dedication and inspired by your words to serve you and each and every city and region that belongs to the ICLEI network boldly and with great resolve in the years ahead. The issues are indeed multiple and really need action like never before. Action together, taking hands with each other and also with the partners that you have referred to. Thank you very much. With those inspirational words, let's have a look at who our newly elected ICLEI Council is for 2021 to 2024. And for that, I hand over to my friend and co-Deputy Secretary General, Imani Kumar, who heads up our ICLEI South Asia Secretariat as Executive Director as well. And he is going to introduce to you the ICLEI Council as elected for 2021 to 2024. Mr. Kumar, over to you.
Thank you. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to colleagues, I think, from the US and North American, Latin American people. It's a privilege to introduce the ICLEI Council, though my incoming president has already mentioned who is the presidium of ICLEI already. But I'm just going to introduce the entire council. ICLEI elects its council for every 3 years. So this particular council, which I'm going to introduce, is from 21 to 24. As UN divides the whole world into 9 regions, we also follow the same, and we have 9 regional executive committees. And each regional executive committee sends 1 person to the global executive committee. So we have 9 global executive committee members. And we also have 9 portfolio members, which I will introduce them. And all of these council members will elect the president and also the first vice president and 2 vice presidents. As Mr. Frank Carney he said that he is our new president, and we also have first vice president and 2 vice presidents. I will introduce them again. Coming to the regional committee members, these are the ICLEI regional committee, executive committee members from Africa. We have mayor from Kilimani, Mayor Arujo, we have mayor from Uganda, Entebbe Municipal Council. We also have Mayor Jefferson from Liberia, and we have Hans Pretty, mayor from Municipal Council of Kurupe, Mauritius, and we have Mohammed Sifiani, mayor from Morocco also. These are the 5 members from African region. Can I have the next slide? These are from the East Asia side. We have a mayor from New Taipei City, Mayor Cheng, and we also have mayor from Kyoto City, Japan, Daisaku, and vice mayor from Chongqing City from China, Jia. And we also have acting mayor from Seoul Metropolitan Government, Republic of Korea, Mr. Jeong Haip, and a long-lasting friend of ICLEI, Yom, mayor from Suwon City, Republic of Korea, is part of our East Asia Regional Executive Committee. Next slide, please. From Europe, we have mayor from city of Turku, Finland, Minna Arve, and we also have Martin, Lord Mayor from city of Freiburg, and Ana Oregi, deputy mayor from municipality of Vitoria, and from Spain. And we have deputy mayor from city of Katowice, Poland, and Mayor Erion from municipality of Tirana from Albania. And we also have few non-voting members the European region also. Can I have the next slide, please? From Regional Executive Committee members from Mexico, Central America, and Caribbean. Please excuse me for my pronunciation of these names. I come from Asia within India. Mayor from Tegucigalpa, municipality of Central District from Honduras, Juan Nasre, and Verni Valerio from mayor from municipality of San Rafael. From Costa Rica, and Manuel Ortega from mayor from municipality of Santa Domingo Este, Dominican Republic, and Maria Isabel from state of Guanajuato, Mexico, Secretary of State. And we also have governor from state of Yucatan, Mexico, as part of the Mexico Regional America. From North American side, we have environmental coordinator, city of Fredericton from Canada, Miss Brittany, and we also have manager from sustainability at Durham region, Canada, Mr. Ian, and Matthew Applebaum, former mayor, city of Boulder from USA, and you already heard from Franco from city of Des Moines, and Brigade Shea from Commissioner Travis County from USA. Next slide, please. From Oceania, some of the names here, Anna Ferguson, mayor from Mount Barker District Council from Australia, Aaron Hawkins, mayor from Dunedin City Council from New Zealand, Nutali Nelmes from Lord Mayor, City of Newcastle, and Anna Reynolds from Lord Mayor, City of Hobart from Australia, and Amanda Stone, Councillor, Yarra City Councillor from Australia. These are the 5 from the Oceania. Next slide, please. From the South American side, we have mayor from municipality of Recife, Campos, mayor from municipality of Santa Fe from Argentina, Raul Jatan, Geraldo from is the Secretary of State for Economic Development, state of Pernambuco from Brazil, and Juan is the director from area Metropolitan Development from Colombia, and mayor from municipality of Sao Leopoldo, Mr. Ari. Next slide, please. These are from South Asia, Mr. Ashok from Municipality Association of Nepal, Mr. Mayor from Thimphu Municipality Council from Bhutan, Mr. Lord Mayor Liton from Rajshahi City Corporation, Bangladesh, and Fatima Latif, Chief Executive Officer from Local Government of Maldives, and Atishi, she's a member of Legislative Assembly, National Capital Territory of India. And we also have some advisors for the Regional Committee from India and South Asia. Next slide, please. From Southeast Asia, we have Mayor Binay from Makati City, and Municipal President of Hangwajaya Municipal Council from Malaysia, Mr. Shadan Bidin, and Sairif Fasha from Mayor of Jambi City, Indonesia. Next slide. These are the regional seats. I don't want to take all the names. As I said that we have 9 representatives. These names have been already been mentioned to you, who are going to represent from each region, all the 9 regions, into the Global Executive Committee. Next slide, please. We also have, as I said, that portfolio seats. We have Alex Jiang, China Envoy, is the Executive Director from Eco Forum Global, China. And for the climate action and low emission development, we have 2 representatives as a portfolio members. Lord Mayor from City of Bonn, Ms. Dorner, and Mayor from Turkey, Mustafa Tunçoyer, is the Izmir Metropolitan Municipality. We have from the circular development, Minna Arve from Mayor City of Turku, from Finland, and for global multilateral representation, we have the acting mayor from Seoul Metropolitan Development, Republic of Korea. Next slide, please. For other portfolio seats, for nature-based solutions, we have a governor from Mexico, Mauricio, and two representatives, resilient development and risk management. We have Mayor Arajao from Kelamone and Ma'am Atishi from New Delhi. And for urban research and sustainability challenge solutions, we have Kathy Wok, Senior Fellow from Informed Cities, University of Melbourne. And for innovative financing, we have Mayor Binay from Makati City in Philippines, and Mayor City of Malmo, Mayor Catherine, representing the sustainable circular and innovation procurement on that. Next slide. These are our presidium members have been mentioned by my president already. Frank Coney is ICLEI president for the next session that is starting from 21 to 24. And Mayor Jame from City of Malmo, she is going to be our first vice president. And we have two vice presidents, Mina Arve from Mayor of City of Turku from Finland, and also Atishi ma'am, she is the member of Legislative Assembly from National Capital Territory of Delhi. So this is the new council of ICLEI, and looking forward to their leadership. And thanks for this opportunity, and I will hand it over to my colleague, Kobi. Kobi?
Thank you very much, Imani Kumar, for that wonderful introduction to our new leaders. I fondly remember when we all stood together and looked at our leaders for a group photograph when we were together in Montreal. And today we are also going to take a group photograph. So I just quickly want to do one or two house rules, reminding you that at the end of this session, we are going to take a group photo. So please, at that stage, even if you were not a speaker here today, we're going to ask you to turn on your camera and help us just to take a few slides so that we can have this virtual group photograph at the end of the session. We are also wanting to remind you that, of course, at the bottom of your Zoom screen, you can see a little earth. And if you click on that earth, you'll be able to choose the language of your choice. Today we have English, Spanish, and Chinese as optional languages for yourselves to choose your preferred language from. And then, last but not least, I do also just want to remind you that this session is recorded. And for you participating in this session and for those making interventions, we therefore take that you have given consent to be recorded in this session. And with those very few housekeeping rules, it is now my absolute privilege and honor to welcome to you and to all of us to this forum, our Secretary General, Gino van Begin, dedicated in his cause, steadfast in leading our teams and our organization to new heights in this decade of action, this daunting decade of action lying ahead of us. Gino is going to present to us our new ICLEI Malmo strategy and our work plan for 2018 to 2024. And Gino, with that, we know that it is geared to deliver impact, local impact, at global scale. So thank you, and over to you, Gino van Begin.
Honorable mayors and governors, deputies and council members, ICLEI members, distinguished guests. It is an honor and privilege to present to you the new ICLEI Malmo Commitment and Strategic Vision 2021-2027. This strategic vision has just been adopted by the ICLEI Council and serves as a policy guide for you, our 2,000 members and network cities, to coherently accelerate sustainability in your jurisdictions. And for us, the 400 experts working at ICLEI globally, to provide a strategic framework for over 350 projects and programs, which we will implement together with you each year. The ICLEI Malmo Strategic Vision follows our former ICLEI Montreal Strategic Vision, which has guided our network's activities over the past 3 years. In fact, I'm pleased to announce that in these past 3 years, we as ICLEI were able to complete almost 150 activities across all 5 of our sustainable development pathways: the low emission development pathway, nature-based development pathway, resilient development pathway, circular development pathway, and equitable and people-centered development pathway. In doing so, we directly worked with 1,278 local and regional governments from our network, and through multiplying efforts, engaged with another 1,000 jurisdictions. Building upon this success, the ICLEI Malmo strategic vision continues many of the familiar elements established in the previous iteration, namely the 5 Sustainable Development Pathways, and further elaborates and updates these to match our new global context, specifically in light of the global impacts of the ongoing COVID-19 pandemic. Never before has a pandemic so clearly revealed the vulnerability of our economic structures, especially informal ones, the sharp inequalities of disadvantaged communities, the need for social investments, and the risks that lay in weak public services. The COVID-19 pandemic response presents a once-in-a-generation opportunity to change the trajectory of our own global development. The choices we now make in how we recover from this pandemic will determine whether or not we're able to accelerate the transformation of human civilization from the fossil fuel-based, extraction-intensive, capital-oriented model of the past century into a renewable, resilient, nature-based, value-oriented model that strives to respect the limits of this planet. We have already seen plenty of examples of good practice of recovery efforts advancing sustainability, from electric and non-motorized mobility, rapid digitalization of services, solidarity program rollouts, and intensive peer sharing of information, to the implementation of principles and policies on disaster risk reduction and sustainable urban development. The opportunities and challenges of the urban world reveal that the success or failure of the recovery from the COVID-19 pandemic will significantly rely on whether or not local and regional governments follow progressive practices, are empowered with the necessary technical, legal, and financial mechanisms, and are supported with multi-level and collaborative governance models. This global context provided the backdrop for the ICLEI Malmo strategic vision and allowed us to further embrace and holistically implement ICLEI's 5 pathways to sustainable development. Upon its adoption last week, the ICLEI Malmo Action Plan already details over 140 activities directly involving 1,100 local and regional governments from around the world in advancing ICLEI's work. These concrete activities encompass local capacity building initiatives and direct infrastructure investments, knowledge sharing platforms and awareness raising campaigns, technical trainings, information exchanges, pilot projects, innovation testbeds, and direct support on local sustainability planning. Allow me to highlight the 5 ICLEI strategic pathways to sustainable development under this next ICLEI Malmo strategic vision until 2027. Firstly, under the low emission development pathway, the ICLEI network stands for achieving a net zero emission, climate neutral future. As a commitment to the Paris Climate Agreement to limit the temperature increase to 1.5 degrees Celsius, we align with science in that it is essential to achieve climate neutrality in all governmental operations and in our communities at the latest by mid-century. For this, we will need to implement clear, sustainable climate and energy plans, ideally based on 100% renewables, and divest from fossil fuels. We will need to decarbonize the local transport sector, promote and apply nature-based solutions, circular development approaches, as well as people-centered, inclusive, and equitable actions. Over the next years, we will work with our network members to help set them mid-term targets for 2030, which allow them to join the UN Cities Race to Zero campaign. Our ICLEI Green Climate Cities program and our ICLEI Climate Neutrality Framework will guide our members on how to accelerate climate action and will encourage all cities to report and track their climate action through the CDP ICLEI Unified Reporting System. Secondly, under the nature-based development pathway, we must take all efforts to restore humanity's broken relationship with nature and the planet and enhance our biodiversity and the integrity of our ecosystems in and around our cities. Our ecosystems underpin our local economies, and we depend upon them for the social integrity, well-being, and the resilience of our communities. We will therefore assist in the development of whole of government and whole of society plans, strategies, and initiatives that use the potential of nature to provide essential ecosystem services and identify payment for environmental services options to generate resources for example, reforestation or renaturation actions, water conservation, and protected area designation. ICLEI Cities with Nature and Regions with Nature platforms will help us to share, connect, pioneer, and learn together in our journey to reshape the city of today to one in which nature is an integral part of the lives of all who live, work, and play there, and wherein nature can thrive. As a key part of these first two pathways for sustainability, we must continue to decouple urban economic development and well-being from resource consumption and waste generation. Over the last 3 years under the Circular Development Pathway, we have made good experiences with seeking collaborative action with citizens, businesses, and the research community to promote a just transition from a linear to a circular economy. Our economic system should no longer rely on fossil fuels or other destructive resource extraction. Instead, we shall aspire to become zero-waste cities, towns, and regions, to have our residents practicing a lifestyle of a maximum carbon footprint of 2.55 tons of CO2 emissions per capita, and to integrate a circular development mindset and practice into all our municipal services. Here, the ICLEI Circulars platform of leading ICLEI Network members and practitioners will guide, co-create, and scale up circular economy actions to regenerate, rethink, reuse, reduce, and recover. COVID-19 revealed that more than ever, our ICLEI members must urgently engage in a robust, resilient development pathway to make resilience a core part of all local sustainability strategies and to prepare for new risks and impacts that take into account the rights and needs of the vulnerable of our communities. The ICLEI resilience methodology and our partnership in the UNDRR Making Cities Resilient 2030 campaign will support the design, the creation, and the implementation of such resilient-oriented actions and activities, and will allow our cities to join the UN Race to Resilience campaign. Finally, any development, and certainly sustainable development, must be equitable and people-centered. We must build just, livable, and inclusive urban communities. We must address the systemic causes of poverty and injustice, and effectively dismantle existing societal and environmental inequities, while safeguarding the natural support systems for human life. We must ensure that efforts made to improve sustainability in our cities, towns, and regions do so for the betterment of all, not just the privileged few, and grant everyone affordable, secure, and convenient access to the resources and opportunities they need for productive and dignified livelihoods. We must put people at the center of local sustainable planning, be it through inclusive and equitable mobility systems or addressing climate stressors that contribute to climate migration and regrettably cause residents to need to leave their homes. Our sustainable city is one that is not only good for the planet, but also good for people, where all community members have a voice, where everyone feels safe, and where diversity and distinct identities are valued and not diminished. ICLEI members, by applying these 5 interconnected pathways within your local and regional context, you can effectively address and even reverse detrimental practices. You can bridge divides and connect actors, sectors, and global regions. You are the closest to the citizens of this world, and you can best engage with your communities to understand their perspectives and bring them with you in driving local transformation with a lasting global impact. You can prioritize diversity and inclusivity across your administrations and communities as a spark for creativity and innovation. You can strengthen cooperation at the regional scale because your city is closely linked with and depends upon the peri-urban and rural areas and their ecosystems. You can foster strong partnerships to deliver on the global sustainable development goals with national, regional, and other local governments, with multilateral organizations, with international agencies, with the research and development institution, and of course, the whole of civil society. You have the chance to lay the foundation for evidence-driven and science-based policy and practices. You can test solutions, invite open innovation, evaluate new policies based on real-life scenarios, and drive innovation through city-business collaboration. Distinguished guests, the new decade of action for sustainable development started in January 2021, and the UN Secretary General stated in December 2020 that, to put it simply, the state of the planet is broken and humanity is waging war on nature. The only way forward is to urgently and collectively reverse this trend and drastically reorient the economic and social patterns of our daily lives, to redesign our built environment, to align with nature and restore the natural systems in and around our cities. We now have a unique opportunity to build back better, to ambitiously co-create a new journey for all to develop resilient, inclusive communities, and to discontinue the unsustainable approaches that have become so obvious through the global COVID-19 pandemic and the initial recovery attempts. Together, we must demonstrate visionary leadership, lead by example, share our knowledge actively and openly, and speak with a united voice. It is up to our network to create lasting mechanisms for change that make sustainability a permanent framework that informs all development. It is my strong hope that this ICLEI Malmo commitment and strategic vision is a common, ambitious pledge to make sustainable development the only model for development in the urban 21st century. Now, and in the years to come, the 22 ICLEI offices worldwide will work on over 150 different programs, projects, and initiatives together with more than 2,200 cities and regions around the world. We will work hard and hand in hand to fulfill your pledge under the ICLEI Malmo commitment and strategic vision. Thank you for your pledges and thank you for your commitment.
Thank you very much, Gino van Begin, our Secretary General, who's going to lead us in tackling this decade of action. And now let's delve a little bit deeper into these 5 pathways that have been spoken about. And for the first one, we're going to focus on circular development. And I'm turning to Mayor Minna Arve from the city of Turku in Finland, ICLEI Global Executive Committee member, as well as ICLEI European Regional Executive Committee member, and a true, absolute, inspirational leader for circular development. Let's hear from the city of Turku with Mayor Minna Arve. The floor is yours. Thank you.
Thank you, Kopi, for your beautiful and nice words. And hello, everyone. Good morning from Turku, and good afternoon and good evening for those who are having the different time zones. So Turku is in Finland. Finland is the oldest city. Turku is the oldest city in Finland, and as you can see, we are located by the beautiful archipelago, which is the biggest in the world. We have over 40,000 isles in our archipelago. But to my subject, which is the circular development, and what is circular development? Circular development is one of ICLEI's 5 strategic pathways towards sustainable urban development. This pathway is about fundamentally rethinking how resources are consumed and managed to decouple urban and economic development from resource consumption, encourage equitable access to resources, and create closed-loop urban and peri-urban systems. Circular development supports new local economies that are productive and not extractive, where resources are exchanged and not wasted. More importantly, circular development is a means to achieve a number of other sustainability goals, such as climate neutrality. Why does Turku focus on circularity and how this became so big issue, an important issue for myself? Turku started focusing on the circular economy to strengthen its climate ambitions. Turku's climate plan is finding the city to become climate neutral by 2029. That's when Turku is having its 800th anniversary. We have already managed to cut our emissions by half since 1990, thanks to investments in renewable energy, decarbonizing district heating, and low carbon transport. However, addressing the remaining emissions demand a more systematic change that the circular economy can support by closing resource loops, creating new sources of energy, for example, like waste heat recovery, and protecting carbon sinks from pollution. The circular economy is also a way to address consumption-based emissions, which are high in Finland. And this is very important because consumption-based emissions, the emissions induced by consumption in cities but arising elsewhere, are likely to be at least as high as the emissions directly linked to a local production. Circular development offers opportunities. In addition to supporting climate action, the circular economy also offers opportunities to preserve and enhance biodiversity, promote social equity at the local level, and support local economic development and also COVID-19 recovery. Our focus on circular economy innovations in Turku has helped create new jobs, new competence, new competitiveness, and of course have generated a strong network around it. And that's also helped us to be resilient with the COVID-19 crisis. Circular Turku roadmap. We are planning the roadmap with the Circular Turku, and we are currently planning it together with over 200 stakeholders, a set of 25 holistic interventions across 5 sectors to facilitate the circular economy transition in the city and the surrounding region. The roadmap will build clear links with climate action, biodiversity protection, and social equity, and will be released in June 2021. So we are going towards it quite soon. And lastly, I want to point out the ICLEI Circulars Network. It's our desire to share learnings from Turku with our peers worldwide, but to learn from the experiences of others. As the mayor of Turku and ICLEI's global portfolio holder for circular development, I welcome the launch of ICLEI Circulars. It's the first global platform for circular cities which gathers learnings and experiences from local governments worldwide and offers concrete tools for everyone to share and learn. Thank you very much.
Thank you very, very much for talking about our circular economy work that we do and circular development work that we do across the world, with a wonderful example from the city of Turku. And now let's turn to the African continent, where we're going to talk resilience. I'm very proud to introduce to you Mayor Manuel D'Araújo from the city of Quilimane, Mozambique, for those who don't know, and ICLEI Global Executive Committee member, as well as a long-standing and dedicated member of the ICLEI Africa Regional Executive Committee. And Mayor Manuel is going to talk to us about resilient development, a portfolio he co-shares in ICLEI. You see, our leaders do not only lead us in regional capacity or at global capacity, they also take on, in a very professional manner, these dedicated pathways and make it their own and guide us also at technical level. Mayor D'Araújo, the floor is yours. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Kobe, for the wonderful introduction, and also allow me to greet Kumar from India, Meena, Harv, and all my colleagues, mayors, governors, Gino, and all other members of the International or Global Secretariat. Resilience development requires strong efforts of collaboration among all levels of government. With the Paris Agreement specifically naming the role of local government in the fight to tackle climate change, as well as the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development, the SDGs, and the Sendai Framework, local and regional government have a central role as partners to nations to achieve various sustainability and resilience targets set by the international community. To support this role, ICLEI's Resilient Development Pathway aims to help cities, towns, and regions build their capacity to anticipate, prevent, absorb, and recover from shocks and stresses, in particular, those brought about by rapid environmental, technological, social, and demographic change, and to improve essential basic response structures and functions of the systems. ICLEI has made resilience a core part of its sustainability strategies. As the past year has clearly shown us, we must be vigilant in our preparation for new risks and impacts, taking into account the rights and needs of vulnerable sections of our communities. We must continuously strengthen our essential systems, including both local and regional government operations, as well as throughout our communities, so that they are able to absorb, prevent, and recover from shocks, stresses, and unforeseen changes. This is critical in order to alleviate the burden of new and ongoing risks on people and the environment. We must also pursue a transparent and inclusive approach to our work that will enhance trust in our institutions and the processes that support them, thereby increasing system resilience. We are very pleased that as ICLEI can support the design, creation, and implementation of local and regional resilience-oriented actions and activities with the ICLEI resilience methodology, as well as in collaboration with the UN Making Cities Resilient 2030 campaign. Through these efforts, ICLEI is able to join and contribute to the UN Race to Resilience campaign, mobilizing critical local and regional action towards achieving the global goals and on resilience development. Kilimani City, being a coastal city, have experienced firsthand the challenges of rapid climate change. In the last 2 years, Mozambique and indeed Kilimani faced more than 4 cyclones, which affected not only the modus operandi of the city, but also the livelihood. Therefore, we have experienced firsthand these challenges, and the role of local leaders, the mayor, and the other institutions was of paramount importance to increase the awareness of our citizens about risks, but also to assess and contribute to rapid recovery. As I always mention, in the last 2 years, for example, the city of Beira faced a cyclone which destroyed it more than 90%. And it was local leaders who were there from the first minute to accommodate the challenges and also be able of coming up with a quick strategy to recover and provide resources to those affected. So we are really determined in pushing forward the ICLEI's agenda on resilience development and also equip ICLEI's cities or all the members with tools that allow them to assess the risks that cities do face. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mayor, for those inspirational words coming from Mozambique, from the coast of Mozambique, one of the areas that is predicted in sub-Saharan Africa to be worst affected by climate change in the years to come. So building resilience, being prepared is certainly a priority across sub-Saharan Africa, but particularly also in our coastal areas. And we know we cannot do that without the helping hand and the free services that nature actually provides to us. So let's turn to nature-based development and biodiversity and the imperative to restore and rebuild and protect our ecosystems. Joining hands with Governor Villa de Sol from the Yucatan province in Mexico and our very, very eloquent Mayor Valerie Plant, who is our Global Ambassador for Local Biodiversity Action based in Montreal, who is dedicated to make sure that the next COP15 is going to come up with a very strong decision on cities and regions. We now introduce to you our newly elected Councillor Amanda Stone from the Yarra City Council in Australia, newly elected as Global Executive Committee member, and also the ICLEI Oceania Regional Executive Committee member, dedicated to nature-based solutions, to nature and biodiversity. Councillor Amanda Stone is going to work closely with our other leaders to provide us with technical and political guidance in this portfolio of nature. Over to you, Councillor Stone.
Thank you, Kobe, and good morning, afternoon and evening to everyone joining this launch today. Thank you to the Secretary-General for your introduction to the strategic plan and the role of nature and biodiversity within that. The biodiversity and ecosystems in and around our cities underpin our local economies, and we know that more than half of our global GDP depends on nature, and that many so-called free services provided by nature are yet to be accounted for. Things like carbon sequestration, temperature control, purification of the air. Our communities depend on these services for their own social integrity, well-being and resilience. as highlighted by the Secretary-General. Through its nature-based development pathway, ICLEI strives to protect and restore humanity's broken relationship with nature and the planet, while respecting, treasuring, and enhancing biodiversity and the integrity of ecosystems. We understand the importance that natural resources, air, water, soil, and food all play in sustaining life and health in our communities and on our planet. And we all prioritise healthy local environments that respect, protect, and nurture these resources and their respective systems in ways that enrich biodiversity and strengthen ecosystems. To this end, ICLEI actively promotes initiatives to drive wide-scale behavioural change in urban communities towards lives lived in harmony with nature and within our planetary boundaries. And we also support the principles of the One Health approach, where we clearly understand that human health and well-being are intrinsically linked to the health and well-being of the planet itself. This behavioural change can be a slow journey, but when we involve citizens themselves through things like citizen science projects and partnerships, change can be sustained and embedded in communities, and it can grow organically. My own city of Yarra has drawn on best practice globally combined with local knowledge in adopting our very own nature strategy in 2020. One of its 4 key action areas is engaging our citizens in connecting and enhancing nature in their own city. My city is named after a river, the Yarra, and its tributaries. These are biodiverse, rich waterways and provide important habitat, but they're in the middle of a city of 5 million people and threatened by rapid urban development upstream. Using citizen science projects to monitor the health of waterways and biodiversity will help see how these species can successfully live in cities and how citizens themselves can share the development of an evidence base and help protect the systems that they rely on. We also recognise that we have much to learn from Indigenous land management and the knowledge built over 50,000 years of the traditional owners. We actively engage with the Wurundjeri Woi-wurrung people who bring cultural values and cultural practice to natural resource management in an urban setting, rehabilitating ecosystems and creating productive and biodiverse landscapes that are capable of supporting future generations. Partnerships like this are key to behavioural change and a deeper understanding of our natural environment in cities and its care. Behavioural change can also be driven through example. My city is responding to our community's expectations that a rapidly growing city can also be sustainable by developing zero carbon building standards, where new buildings will have to meet rigorous requirements. And in fact, in order to be zero carbon, they will have to make use of ecosystem services. Working in harmony with nature through one of the most intensive human activities, buildings, their construction and their performance, will provide a model to communities for the future. ICLEI, through the Cities with Nature and the soon-to-be launched Regions with Nature platforms, enables local and regional governments to share and connect and inspire and learn together in our journey towards reshaping the city of today for future generations. We strive to foster cities in which nature is an integral part of the lives of all who live, work and play there, as well as cities where nature itself can thrive. 177 cities have already joined Cities with Nature and signalled their intent to ramp up their commitment to living with nature, to protecting and enhancing biodiversity in their cities and restoring vital ecosystems. But more importantly, they've committed to being part of a network, a movement, where collective action speaks loudly and where successes are shared and we learn from each other. I commend all those cities who've joined, and I urge those cities and regions who understand the value of nature to their citizens to consider joining too. It's free, joining's simple, and the commitment from you is to simply take advantage of the tools and resources on the Cities with Nature website the peer guidance and exchange that you will receive through the network, and to report and share your achievements. By using these platforms to showcase your commitment and to report on your progress towards your achievements, you will help to highlight and share our successes for the benefits of all. 2020 showed us that our relationship with nature can change, that when our attention is focused on our survival and our gaze shifts to those things that we really need, we've realised that we really need nature. We have a unique opportunity to redesign our shared urban future and our relationship with the planet. With the forthcoming COP15 on biodiversity in Kunming, cheek by jowl with COP26 in Glasgow, we also have an opportunity to place the protection of life on Earth right at the top of the global agenda alongside climate change. Through the efforts of our members, and especially those joining Cities with Nature and Regions with Nature, ICLEI aspires to promote a movement towards a global economy that factors in the environmental, planetary health and human well-being as a key measure of prosperity, health and well-being for people and our planet.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Councillor Stone, for also highlighting just how deeply interconnected all these agendas are. You're talking buildings and construction, and then you say that cannot be achieved without also addressing ecosystems and looking at ecosystem services. And thank you for that very strong invitation from you to take action today. We have no day to waste in this decade of action by joining Cities with Nature. As you say, it is free and easy to join, and we would like all ICLEI members and many, many more cities and regions around the world to join that platform. Thank you for highlighting this very important portfolio as we set out to make peace with nature together. And now, connected very closely to that theme, we are turning to Turkey, and we're going to focus on what for many is a critical and maybe a pivotal pathway in ICLEI, our low emissions development pathway, through which we take concrete actions as a community to lower emissions and to look for a cleaner and better and climate safer world. And for this, we're turning to the Mayor of Izmir Metropolitan Municipality in Turkey, Mayor Tunç Soyer, who is also ICLEI's Global Executive Committee member. Mayor Tunç Soyer, the floor is yours. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Dear President Kovni, Vice Presidents, members of Global and Regional Executive Committees, Secretary General Van Begin, distinguished members, colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, I send you warm greetings from Homer's homeland, author of the legendary Iliad and Odyssey. I'm honored to be elected as the co-chair of the Climate Action and Low Emissions Development Portfolio of ICLEI, along with Mayor of Bonn, Katja Dorner, and our advisors, Mayor Mahmoud, Mayor Taylor, and Vice Mayor Koro. Through the low emission development pathway, ICLEI aims to achieve a climate neutral future for cities, towns, and regions worldwide. With this pathway, we will accelerate integrated climate and energy action at the local level, supported by comprehensive and coherent investment portfolios. We will also ensure strong collaboration between every levels of governments in order to develop effective policies and actions supported with the spirit of global solidarity. We aim to achieve climate neutrality in our local and regional governmental infrastructure and operations and within our communities by 2050 at the latest. To help us get there, we set mid-term targets for 2030, and we will be reporting our progress through the CDP ICLEI Unified Reporting System. Across the world, we are aware that several ICLEI networks have declared climate emergency, committed to climate neutrality, transitioning to 100% renewables, and divesting from fossil fuels. Through Green Climate Cities program and climate neutrality framework, ICLEI will be ready to mobilize its network cities and regions to UNFCCC Race to Zero campaign, including my city, Izmir. ICLEI will also continue to lead the global UNFCCC advocacy of our constituency. I believe that goal for a carbon neutral world is possible. Cities that shape civilization's history have adequate social, economic, and human resources to achieve this goal today. In addition to progressive policies and investments to reduce emissions in zero carbon targets, also require dialogue and solidarity. Only by sharing experiences we can learn from each other. This crucial role of cities are becoming an integral part of climate diplomacy. I'm saying we need a climate diplomacy because Izmir went through severe destructive disasters in the last 2 years. Some of them are directly caused by the climate crisis. The city saw a large forest fire, the pandemic, a tsunami, an earthquake, drought, and a severe flood. These crises taught us that we must make Izmir a resilient city that can absorb the shocks of disasters. In this respect, in Izmir, we have prepared the first Green City Action Plan of Turkey. We identified a series of actions for various environmental issues, including water, biological diversity, air, soil pollution, and climate change. We put the Sustainable Energy and Climate Action Plan in place, where we identified actions to reduce greenhouse gas emissions and acclimation. We also created a plan of action for land use, waste management, buildings, environmental and biological diversity, energy, public health, civil defense, state of emergency, water management, agriculture, and forestry, and transportation. Within the scope of the Covenant of Mayors and the Declaration of Will for the EU Paris Climate Agreement, Izmir CCAP set a goal of 40% reductions of greenhouse gases until 2030. These plans were prepared in collaboration with the European Bank for Reconstruction and Development. We introduced a comprehensive program, namely Izmir Agricultural Vision, to reduce the carbon emissions stemming from agriculture. Izmir's projects to reduce carbon emission are many. For example, Izmir has the first electric bus fleet in Turkey. We generate the bus fleet's electricity from solar panels placed on the roof of municipal buildings. As one of the most important port cities of the Mediterranean, Izmir has always been a dynamic city that connected Asia and Europe. This connection was not only commercial, but also cultural, transforming Izmir into a cosmopolitan city. This unique position made the city a boundary spanner, spreading commodities, knowledge, values, and policies across the Mediterranean. 2 weeks ago, Izmir hosted the Sustainable Urban Water Policies Summit with solid support from ICLEI, a manifesto on water and climate signed by 22 largest cities of Turkey, where 41 million people live. Izmir will host the UCLG Culture Summit to discuss the link between the cultural diversity, biodiversity, and urban resilience. We are firmly committed to make Izmir a model city for living in harmony with nature. I'm happy to take this commitment with my role in the ICLEI Global Executive Committee. We will build together a more concerted municipal effort to fight against climate crisis. Thank you very much for your confidence invested in us.
Thank you very much to you, Mayor Tunç Soyer. What a wonderful example, what a beacon of light and hope that you are shining in your region. And thank you also for bringing a convergence of all these pathways together in such a bold green plan, which is concrete with concrete goals and actions that you are planning. You are inspiration to all of us. Thank you very much for this presentation. And as we now have reflected on low carbon development and the importance of low carbon development, we cannot now not turn to the fifth global pathway, which should probably be the first and the ultimate global pathway, people-centered, equitable development and people-centered development. And for that, we turn to one of the biggest cities in the world. We're going to India now, to the capital territory of Delhi, where we're going to hear from member of the Legislative Assembly, Atishi Malena, and ICLEI Vice President. Very proud to have you as our Vice President, Mayor Atishi Malena, from the National Capital Territory of Delhi, and also a member of the ICLEI Global Executive Committee. Let's talk about this very, very important agenda for us, equitable and people-centered development. The floor is yours, Atishi Malena.
Thank you so much, Kobe. It is an honor to be speaking here on this issue, which is very close to my heart personally, as well as to the work that has been done by my party and my government in Delhi in the last 6 years. As you know, we all live in times of unprecedented urbanization. More than half of the world's population already lives in cities. And it is projected that by 2050, this will increase to more than 2/3 of the world population. As more and more people are looking to cities for a better quality of life, the existing infrastructure of our cities is not equipped to provide them with this quality of life. In fact, it is so stretched that a large number of cities today find it hard to provide equitable access to even the most basic of civic services, like education, healthcare, water, transport, clean air to breathe. And for public representatives in cities across the world, this poses serious challenges to inclusive access to the city, to sustainability, to resilience, to environmental justice. And for every individual, irrespective of their community, their gender, their caste, their color, their actual right to the city. And I think this is where the issue that we are discussing, equitable and people-centered development, becomes so important. And each of these issues, if you were to see in the past year, has been exacerbated by the COVID-19 pandemic. In Delhi, a city of 30 million residents, we come face to face with this challenge of equitable and people-centered development on an everyday basis. I'm a member of the Legislative Assembly from a constituency called Kalkaji, and just the 300,000 people who live in this constituency bring me personally face to face with these challenges on a day-to-day basis. Despite many challenges in the last 6 years, the city of Delhi has really emerged as a unique model of success for what I believe is equitable and people-centered development. And I feel that the work that has happened here in the last 6 years is a model of success, not just that can be emulated by different cities in India, but across the world, especially in the developing world, where there is a challenge, where there is a lot of pressure on cities because of migration from rural areas. In the last 6 years, we have been able to build a model that is based on radically altering the quality and access to key civic services, such as public education, public healthcare, transport, clean water, low-cost uninterrupted power supply. And providing these services, not just to a small segment of people, but to the entire population. 6 years ago, when Aam Aadmi Party, the party that I belong to, And Aam Aadmi Party literally translates into English as the party of the common man. 6 years ago, when we came into power, we were a new party. We were fighting elections for the first time. And we brought with us dreams. We brought with us promises of a city that would work for everyone, of an education system that would work for everyone, of a health system, of a transportation system. 6 years ago, people used to laugh at us. People used to think that many of the things that this party of newbies, none of whom had political experience, none of the things that we were talking about could actually come true. But I think what the last 6 years have really shown is that change is possible. That if you do have the right intent and the political will, then equitable and people-centered development is possible for such a large population. And I would like to highlight some of the key changes that the Aam Aadmi Party government, the government of the common man, has been working on in the last 6 years, which I believe can be translated into different parts of the world. Number one, public education. Public education is very much at the heart of any equitable development. And in India, in Delhi, like in all other parts of the world, especially in developing countries, there is a deep, deep divide between private education and public education. A small elite goes to private schools. A large number of the residents of Delhi were sending their children into public schools where the quality of education was extremely poor. In the last 6 years, with heavy investment, with almost a quarter of the city's budget going into improving public education, with providing high quality infrastructure to schools, with providing high quality teacher training by focusing on bridging learning gaps, public schools for the first time in India have been made aspirational. Public schools have now been consistently outperforming private schools for the last 4 years. And it is this transformational journey, which I feel is one example of the kind of equitable development that Delhi has seen. Second, another very important dimension of equitable and people-centered development is actually access to healthcare. Again, deeply divided healthcare systems exist in a country like India and existed even in a city like Delhi till 6 years earlier, where you have a small segment of population with access to extremely high quality healthcare via private hospitals, and a large number of people have to rely on overcrowded government facilities without adequate doctors, without adequate medicines availability. The Aam Aadmi Party government has taken the Mohalla clinic model. The Mohalla clinic is a medical clinic of the locality. It has taken these Mohalla clinics to every locality in Delhi. This has meant that you have a low-cost model of primary healthcare that is available to every citizen in the city. Now, no citizen of the city will not have access to healthcare because they do not have the ability to pay for it. Every citizen via these Mohalla clinics gets access to free medicines, free medical consultation, and free diagnostics. Number three, resources, natural resources like water and electricity. Again, like all mushrooming cities, all large cities across the world, the access to natural resources has been deeply, deeply divided. In Delhi, there existed at least 40% of residential localities that did not have access to piped running water. In a lot of cities in the developing world, you have a lot of what is called unauthorized construction that has come up over the last few decades. And yet legal frameworks did not allow proper infrastructure to be built in these areas. So what we were seeing was a deep inequality where the city and the city's economy was willing to use the labor of people who were living in these unauthorized settlements for the development of the city, for the growing GDP of the city, but was not actually willing to give them adequate infrastructure. In the past 6 years, water pipelines have reached more than 500 new residential localities, which probably has to be a record across all cities in India. Not just this, water has been made accessibly priced. One of the challenges that has been facing many developing cities, many developing countries, is the fact that to ensure high quality water supply, many cities end up privatizing their water supply. One, to keep the finances afloat. Two, to ensure that you have an efficient system of distribution. What Delhi government, what the Aam Aadmi Party government has been able to achieve is a water distribution system run by the government that has turned out to be one of the most efficiently run water distribution systems. For the first time, the Delhi Jal Board, which is the agency responsible for provision of water, has no longer been in the red for the past 6 years. The business models have improved, and free water, free lifeline water is being given to every citizen of this city. We all understand that every citizen to lead a dignified life requires 150 liters of water every day. Based on this, every family is given 20,000 liters of water free every month. And not only has this helped in providing access to running water to some of the poorest of the poor, this has actually had a remarkable impact on water conservation, because the minute the meter goes over the 20,000 liter mark, the minute the meter crosses these 200 units, then the consumer has to pay for the entire amount, which means that it's not as if you use 20,001 liters, you're paying only for 1 liter, you're paying the entire amount. This has led to a remarkable effort by the citizens on their own, without the policing of the government, to actually engage in water conservation. So despite giving free water, despite giving access to some of the poorest of the poor, the revenue for the Delhi Jal Board has actually increased. Not just that, the water conservation has improved, wastage of water has reduced. We have actually been able to revive using, to ensure better and more equitable access to water. We have done rainwater harvesting on a very extensive basis, using the traditional contours of the city, using traditional water bodies, being able to recharge them from a lot of the wastewater that is coming out of our sewage treatment plants. Third, an important category is access to electricity or power supply. Again, this has been a front on which cities often are deeply divided. Again, another area where power supply is often privatized to ensure that there is efficient supply. Again, an area where this efficiency comes at great financial cost, where the poorest of the poor, where some of the lowest socioeconomic groups end up paying the highest price for this basic resource that every citizen requires. In Delhi, we have been able to ensure some of the most efficient distribution of electricity. Number one, the power distribution companies that 6 years ago were in the red have now been able to come up with effective business models. And yet, Delhi has the cheapest electricity in the whole country. Delhi provides 200 units of electricity, again, lifeline electricity to every citizen of this city free of cost. Not only has this 200 units of electricity and 200 units of water, 20,000 liters of water, been able to provide every citizen of the city with access to these basic resources that are required for every citizen, but more importantly, by ensuring that this is a hard stop after which the citizens have to pay for however much water or electricity they use, we have been able to introduce a system of water conservation and electricity conservation without any serious policing by the city. Finally, Delhi government has initiated in the last few months one of the most progressive electric vehicle policies, where we are now looking to shift all government vehicles, all government owned and used vehicles to electric vehicles, and are setting up a massive infrastructure across the city so that people who are choosing to buy private cars can actually charge their vehicles in different parts of the city. The public transport, especially the buses, are now going to be transformed into an electric vehicle fleet. So just sharing some of the work that has been done by Delhi in the last 6 years. And here I hope that not only can Delhi serve as an example of how development can be equitable, how it can be sustainable, how it can be people friendly. And I hope that a lot of the work that has happened in Delhi can be emulated in different parts of the world which face similar challenges. Thank you.
Thank you. What wonderful examples, how inspirational. And I hope all the cities that are tuned in here today are taking messages from you, that because we have the instruments, we have the legal instruments, the mandates, and the know-how, and you are doing it in Delhi, showing us that simple measures, well thought through measures, can actually provide people with services, but conserve at the same time and increase your revenue. What wonderful examples. Thank you very much, Atishi Malena, for sharing this with us. We're looking forward to your leadership as part of the Presidium as we move forwards. And now, we have looked at the 5 pathways, but we're now looking towards unifying efforts towards a sustainable world. Very, very important that we take hands in a unified way for a more sustainable world lying ahead. And for this, we're turning to China. Mr. Wei Cheng, member of the Standing Committee of the CPC Chengdu Municipal Committee and Vice Mayor of Chengdu Municipal People's Government of China, the floor is yours to talk to us about this convergence of agendas. Thank you very much. The floor is yours.
各位代表、女士们、先生们，大家好！在这春暖花开的时节，很荣幸受邀出席。
Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, and good afternoon. In this warm spring season, I'm very honored to be invited to attend the opening ceremony of the 2021-2022 ICLEI World Congress to promote the sustainable development in the world with all of you. On behalf of the Chengdu Municipal Government, I would like to thank the organizers for the invitation and extend my sincere congratulations to the 30th anniversary of ICLEI. Chengdu has more than 4,500 years of civilization history and 2,300 years of history as a city with 14,300 square kilometers and more than 16.5 million populations. It is an important center for economic, technology, finance, cultural, international exchange, and international transportation hub. In 2020, the GDP was $270 billion with a yearly increase of 4%. It has been successfully rated as the best tourist city in China and the worst gastronomical capital, and listed in the China's happiest city for 12 years, and ranked 59th in the WC World City Evaluation. Chengdu firmly implements the new development concept of the innovation, coordination, green, openness, and sharing, and has carried out the following activities to build a park city. First, energize the city with innovation. We promote the joint development of urban development and technological revolution and industry transformation. We strengthen cutting-edge technology, build 119 national-level innovation platforms with R&D focus on aircraft manufacturing, ultra-high-definition displays, and network security. With the 14 industry ecosystems, 66 industry functional areas, and 28 million square meters of innovation space, 7 unicorn enterprises, we are creating the best place for the development of the new economy. This is what we have achieved in Chengdu. So we are also one of the best example for the economic development in China. Second, focus on the coordinated development. Urbanization centered on people and integrated development of urban and rural areas. For example, we constructed the Eastern New District and built the Longquan Forest Park of 1,275 square kilometers. The urban built-up area exceeds 1,000 square kilometers. We encourage regional development of Chengdu together with the 3 surrounding cities and promote the Chengdu-Chongqing economic circle and their strategic coordination. We welcome openness and joint development. The third is to develop a livable park city. We promote the development of a green and low carbon cycle and strive to be the first to achieve carbon peaks by 2025. We would like to build a park city and promote this work to have the linear waters and also lush mountains. They are invaluable assets. So this is our principles. So we have also built a total of 4,000 kilometers of Tianfu green roads. So with a per capita green area of 14.9 square meters and a forest coverage rate of 40.2%. We practice a green and low carbon lifestyle. We managed a total rail transit of 558 kilometers and also a harmless treatment rate of domestic waste of 100%. The fourth is to develop an international gateway. We actively participate in the One Belt, One Road initiative. The city's second airport, Tianfu International Airport, will be officially put into operation in June this year with 130 international routes. The cumulative number of China and European express trains accounted for 40% of the country's total. Last year, the actual investment of a foreign capital increased by 10%, and the total import and export volume increased by 23.9%. There are 305 Fortune 500 companies in Chengdu. We ranked 43rd in the Global Financial Center Index. There are 20 consulates established in Chengdu. Fifth, we have implemented 10 major projects for a happy life. We are committed to enhancing the happiness and the security of the people. The general public budget expenditure on people's livelihood accounts for more than 65% each year. We create also a 15-minute community circle for a low carbon lifestyle. We have improved the major urban risk prevention and control system, significantly improved the effectiveness of the public emergency response, and systematically increased urban security resilience. Ladies and gentlemen, we sincerely hope that ICLEI will continue to care about the development of Chengdu, and we also look forward to sharing with you the concept and experience of Chengdu's demo project. We sincerely welcome everyone to take a walk in Chengdu after the epidemic is over, to see the killed pandas, to visit famous place and taste delicious food. Thank you very much.
Thank you very, very much for that inspirational message from Chengdu. And certainly I can't wait to come and enjoy the gastronomical and other wonderful features of your city. And indeed, Chengdu is making ripples around the world as an example with your Park City initiative linked to all the other sustainable development initiative. Congratulations to you, Vice Mayor Wei Cheng, and all the people of Chengdu. And now, ladies and gentlemen, before we move to the last part of this opening plenary, it is time to switch on your cameras very briefly, please, for a group photograph. We wish it could have been safe and in person, but we will do this in Malmo next year in spring. But for now, switch on your cameras, please. Put up a big smile, and maybe, because we are ICLEI, let us just all say ICLEI and take a group photograph for us for a memory for years to come. Thank you very much for switching on your cameras and for taking this picture. I'm just going to let everybody do that for a few seconds longer. We are taking group pictures at the moment. and keep that smile going. If you don't feel like smiling, just say ICLEI, because if you are not inspired by now about the world of ICLEI, what will inspire you? The task at hand is big, but we stand strong, united, and we are ready for the decade to come. Thank you for having switched on your cameras. You're welcome to keep them on, as I'm now handing back to our wonderful host city, Malmo, some concluding remarks before we make announcements that are important for the days ahead. And I'm turning again to Mayor Katrin Jamé from the city of Malmo in Sweden, where we will gather next year in person for some concluding remarks before we make an administrative announcement. Thank you, Mayor Jamé, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Kobe. There is so much good being done in cities and regions all around the world, and all of the examples mentioned with the that of circular development in Finland, resilient development in Mozambique, nature-based development in Australia, low emission development in Turkey, and equitable and people-centered development in India show both the depth and the variety of the types of challenges and solutions that are being dealt with all around the world. In Malmo, we work with the 5 different ICLEI pathways in various ways. When it comes to circular development, one of the examples of how we are working with this is the creation and use of the world's first large-scale automated textile recovery plant. This is a facility for making new fibers from textile waste. On a yearly basis, 4.3 million tons of textiles are either burned or end up on landfills around the EU. On a daily basis in Sweden, over 140,000 tons of new textiles are added to the market, but only 5% of the materials are recovered. A link has been missing between textile collection and high quality recycling. Siptex in Malmo is the world's first automatic large-scale textile sorting plant and will transform the possibilities for recycling. With regards to resilient development, it would not feel right to talk about resilience without mentioning the pandemic this year. This has in many ways been the ultimate test for most cities in terms of remaining resilient and quickly adapting to a completely new and quite challenging situation. And when it comes to nature-based development, is in many ways at the very heart of most of our sustainability issues, and we find it crucial to always look at different way of incorporating nature into our urban city naturally. We are including greenery and trees in our city planning. Another way is, though, our concept of densifying the city, meaning that we are avoiding building on the good soil that surrounds our city. Instead, we build inwards, more densely, something which also makes it easier to plan for public transports, as the different city districts are closely linked and can be reached efficiently by bus or train. We are also working with new buses that are run on 100% electricity in order to avoid pollution. Low emission development is something we are attempting through our goal of the city being run by 100% renewable energy by 2030. A majority of the emissions made from energy today in Malmo are caused by the burning of waste, which is mostly due to the burning of plastic, which has not been recycled. We are therefore exploring different alternatives available in order to decrease the use of plastic, increase recycling, as well as capturing and storing carbon dioxide from waste facilities. If, or rather when, we reach success with this, it will single-handedly decrease Malmö's geographical emissions by about 50%. We are also working focused to reduce the construction sector's impact of the climate. We are a fast-growing city. We want the constructions in Malmö to be characterized by a long-term perspective, smart energy solutions, and environmentally friendly material choices. The City of Malmo therefore supports the industries initiatives, local roadmap for climate neutral building and construction sector in Malmo 2030, also known as LFM 30. Today, the initiative partners with over 160 local and regional actors. Last, but certainly not least, we have focused on equitable and people-centered development. Without this part, none of our other investments and efforts become sustainable long-term. One way in which we have done this is through incorporating the UN Sustainable Development Goals, the SDGs, into our own City Council goals. We have done this because we believe that the only way forward is to combine all the perspectives, and we need to ensure that people are at the very heart of our initiatives. And I will talk about this in a greater detail in this afternoon session. So for now, thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mayor Jamai. And it is now my pleasure to invite you to join us in these upcoming days, starting this afternoon, 4 p.m. CST, time zone we are in at the moment, when we are going to delve much deeper into the equitable and people-centered development pathway, starting with that. Other upcoming sessions, you can see these on your screen coming up now. Make sure that you check the ICLEI World Congress website. It's just worldcongress.iclei.org, and it's coming up there in your chat box at the moment. Please have a look there to keep you up to date. Throughout the rest of 2021, we will explore critical topics in sustainable urban development as part of the ICLEI World Congress 2021-2022 with a dedicated webinar series, The Road to Malmo. And that series is going to kick off on the 28th of May and will continue until we meet in Malmo in spring next year, future and safe travel providing. On 11 to 13 May 2022, we will gather in person in Malmo, if able to, depending on the pandemic at that moment in time, for the Malmo Summit. And as far as the global health crisis permits us to do so, we will exchange with each other and inspire one another even further on best practices in local sustainable development and learn firsthand from Malmo and others on the wealth of sustainable initiatives on the ground. The event will have 3 days of core programming, 11, 12, and 13 May, for participants, featuring strategic high-level dialogues, building on the themes explored during this year, as well as exciting technical visits, in-depth workshops, and multiple networking opportunities, especially suited for in-person participation. Thank you all and see you in Malmo. But let us start this journey together that we launched this morning. Join us this afternoon, join us tomorrow, in the days ahead and in the months ahead on the road to Malmo. Thank you very much and goodbye.